You probably feel guilty about it. Lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. You think something is wrong with you. But what if that feeling, that wide awake window in the middle of the night, is actually the most natural thing in the world? What if your body is doing exactly what it was built to do, and modern life is the problem? Ancient humans didn't sleep the way we do, and when researchers figured out how they actually slept, it changed everything we thought we knew about rest. For most of history, people slept in two separate chunks, not one long block like we try to do now. They'd fall asleep around sunset, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then wake up naturally somewhere around midnight. They'd be awake for an hour or two, just hanging around in the dark. Then they'd fall back asleep until sunrise. This first sleep and second sleep pattern shows up everywhere in history. Medieval records are full of references to it. Doctors used to recommend it. People would use that middle of the night window to pray, talk to their partner, check on their animals, or just think quietly in the dark. It wasn't insomnia, it was just how sleep worked before artificial light tricked our bodies into thinking we should stay up until midnight and then crash for 8 hours straight. The researcher who blew this open was a historian named Roger Ekirch. He spent 16 years collecting over 500 references to first and second sleep in historical documents from multiple cultures. Diaries, medical texts, court records, literature. It was completely normal across the world for thousands of years, and then it quietly disappeared after the Industrial Revolution, when artificial lighting changed everything. What is interesting is that when modern people are put in environments without artificial light for several weeks, many of them naturally drift back into this pattern on their own. Their bodies just start doing it. Nobody told them to, it just switched back on. But go back even further before medieval Europe, and sleep gets even more interesting. A team of researchers studied 3 modern hunter-gatherer groups in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia. Groups that live without electricity, the closest living comparison we have to ancient human sleep patterns. What they found surprised a lot of people. These groups didn't go to sleep at sunset. They stayed up for about 3 hours after dark, socializing around the fire. Then they slept for about 6.5 to 7 hours. Less than the 8 hours we're constantly told we need. And almost none of them had insomnia. They also slept through temperature changes rather than light changes. Their bodies use the drop in temperature in the early hours of the morning as the trigger to wake up, not sunrise. Which makes sense when you think about it. Temperature is harder to fake than light. They also didn't sleep in silence. They slept in groups with noise around them, fire crackling, people occasionally talking. The idea of sleeping alone in a quiet, dark room is extremely new. For almost all of human history, it would have felt deeply uncomfortable because it genuinely was dangerous. Ancient humans slept in groups for the same reason they did everything else in groups. Safety. Someone was always sleeping lightly, always half alert. The group's sleep cycles overlapped, so that there was almost never a moment where everyone was in deep sleep at the same time. Your body still does this. If you sleep next to someone regularly, your sleep cycles unconsciously shift to avoid fully aligning. You're still, on some level, running ancient security software. The lightest sleepers in the group, usually older adults, were actually incredibly valuable. Not a burden, an alarm system. An elder who woke at every small sound was a survival asset. It's one of the reasons researchers think humans evolved to sleep lighter as they age. It wasn't a malfunction, it was a feature. There is also evidence that ancient humans were very physically active during the day, which meant, by the time night came, sleep came easily and deeply. Not lying in bed scrolling for 45 minutes before feeling tired. Here is something that does not get talked about enough. Ancient humans took dreams seriously, not as random brain noise, but as meaningful information. Almost every ancient culture across the world, with no contact with each other, independently developed the idea that dreams were significant. Messages, warnings, visions. Whether that belief was right or wrong is a separate argument. But the consistency across cultures tells you something about how vivid and memorable sleep was for ancient humans. Some researchers think this is connected to the two sleep pattern. That middle of the night window, being awake between two sleep periods, may have made dreams more memorable and more emotionally intense. Compared to today, where most people slam an alarm, immediately look at their phone, and have forgotten every dream within 3 minutes. Here is where it gets personal. Almost everything we do around sleep today goes against what our bodies were built for. We sleep alone. We sleep in silence and darkness. We try to sleep in one long, unbroken block. We panic when we wake up at 2 a.m. We set an alarm that cuts off our sleep at an arbitrary time regardless of what our body is doing. And then we wonder why we're tired all the time. The two sleep pattern didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because factory schedules and then office schedules needed people awake and productive on a fixed clock. The 8-hour sleep recommendation came from the same era as the 8-hour workday. It was shaped around productivity, not biology. On top of that, artificial light at night suppresses melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy. So your body is trying to follow a pattern it evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. And we are actively working against it every single night with screens and overhead lights and alarm clocks. Some sleep researchers now think that waking up in the middle of the night is not a disorder at all for a lot of people. It might just be your body remembering something very old. The problem is not the waking. The problem is the panic that follows it. So next time you wake up at 2 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, maybe don't stress about it. Lie there. Think. Let your brain do whatever it is trying to do. You are not broken. For almost all of human history, that quiet window in the middle of the night was not a problem to be fixed. It was just part of being alive. You're running software that is about 300,000 years old. Maybe it knows what it is doing.